Hello, 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 Mosaic Souls. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I'm actually out of town. So, my setting and setup is a little bit different today, but I still wanted to come live for you guys today and share these insights that I received. Hopefully, you can hear me. If you're joining me live, feel free to say hi in the chat. I'm going to pull this up to make sure that I am being heard. Switch to a different account and make sure I can be heard. Hello, 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 Mosaic Souls. In Mosaic Souls, I'm Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor, aka spiritual life and wellness coach here at Divine Earth School. And today we're going to be talking about 10 signs that you're living in a constant state of fear, guilt, or shame, and what to do about it. So I'm super excited to bring this topic to you guys today. Let me make sure this is not too loud. Skip survey. Okay, cool. So you can hear me, just making sure that that's working. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing this. Came on a little bit late because I've been trying to, because I'm out of town, I totally actually forgot to bring my laptop and all that good stuff with me. So I was like, I'm just visiting friends of family and stuff like that. So I wanted to dive into this topic, and it was kind of came to me in a meditation actually. So I was super excited to bring this topic to you guys today. As I was doing my meditation earlier today, I was like, ooh, this one just sort of landed deep into my just making sure you can see me. So this one landed deep into my heart, and I was like, yeah, I definitely have to show up and share this one. Before I get started, these sessions are throughout the month of November. So I'm coming on here live and giving divine daily coaching. And this is basically where you get on and you ask me any questions related to your life or business or anything that you're struggling with in regards to creating a life that's more in alignment with who you truly are at soul level. So I come on here with a topic that usually arises from my higher self or from my intuition at some point, and I share a topic, and then you can open up for Q&A at the end of the session. So today's session is going to be all about that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hello, welcome, peace. Hello, happy holidays. Hope you guys are well and safe and enjoying love and light and connections. So also I wanted to do a little bit more house cleaning too. I'm also having a Black Friday sale, kickoff sale for the rest of the year. So today, if you are looking at any of my products, programs, or services, definitely visit me at the first link in the description box below to take advantage of my Black Friday. So I'm giving 60% off, you guys. I ain't never done that. Well, have I done that? I don't think I ever done that. So if that's something that interests you, definitely check out the link in the description box below for any of my products, programs, or services. So now that we've taken care of that, let's dive into these 10 signs, right? So the first sign is, I wrote it on my phone, sorry. As I said at the beginning of the live, I'm not in my current setup. I'm actually out of town, so everything's not quite in its normal place. So I'm kind of in the room that I'm going to be staying in while I'm out of town. But I wrote these fears down on my phone, and I really want to come live to you guys today. So the first fear, or the first sign rather, is when you wake up and your mind and body goes immediately into a state of worry, where you're actually worried about the future, or you're thinking about or regret about the past, or you're worried about the present, and different various of areas of what I call areas of concern, whether that be money, whether that be relationships, a career, whether that be your health, whatever it is. So when you're constantly finding that your mind and your body moves you into this state of fear. Thank you. I appreciate it. Exactly. So your mind is constantly in the past or in the future, and you're and fear or regret about either of those, and you have constant fear or regret about either of those, right? So that is sign number one, where you find that every day that you wake up, if you wake up in the morning or whenever you wake up, you find that your mind immediately goes to the future or immediately goes to the past. And then your body also moves in this state of like, it's either dissatisfaction or anxiety, or like this just feeling of unease, right? So that's sign number one. Sign number two is that you constantly seek outside validation, either through social media, through friends, through family, through people that you consider higher up than you, like your boss or whatever. So always constantly seeking outside validation for your sense of well-being or your sense of worthiness, right? Where you're sensing your self-worth from other people versus your own inner being, your own inner self, right? So that's a second sign where you sort of, I wonder what they would think about this. Or let's say you create something and you constantly need other people to approve your creations, or constantly need other people to tell you that you look cute, or that you're sexy, that you are smart, or that you're, successful, like where you need outside people to tell you that you're doing okay in life, or that you're a good person, or whatever. That's a sign number two. And then sign number three is that you often wonder or worry about taking action because you think something bad will happen if you do or don't take action. So if this is some basically where you sort of in this sort of loop between perfectionism and sort of stuckness, right? Perfectionism and stuckness, where you don't really take action towards your desires or your heart's, callings, because you fear that something bad will happen, or you just feel stuck in general about taking action and moving, doing something different, because there's this energy of just fear that that something isn't right, right? It's this stuck energy where you feel kind of stuck, right? So if you feel stuck constantly, if you feel stuck, or you feel like you're in fear of doing something different and taking action, that something bad will happen, this is another sign that you're constantly living in a state of fear, right? And I'm gonna get into how to actually shift this, what you can do about it at the end. I just kind of want to go through these signs really quickly. So that's sign number three. And then let me just check these off as I do them. Sign number four is that if you're joining me live, feel free to say hi in the chat. You feel unsafe or supported in your life on a daily basis, whether that's emotionally, whether that's physically, or environmentally, right? So if you feel unsafe or unsupported in your life on a daily basis, maybe you don't feel like you feel supported emotionally, or you feel supported, and I'm not talking about like your basic needs aren't being met. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me just pull this up. I'm like on my phone. I can't really see the chat. Welcome, Yemaya. Oh, great. So glad to have you here. Welcome. Welcome to Divine Earth School. It's wonderful to have you here. But back to the feeling unsafe. I'm not talking about feeling unsafe in the terms of like you don't have your basic needs met, but I feel it's more like this energy, like you don't feel safe to be yourself, right? You don't feel safe to exercise your passions or to do what you love to do. You don't feel supported in being yourself. That's more so what I mean by this one, not necessarily you don't feel safe in your basic needs being met. In that case, of course, fear would come up because you have to do what you need to do in order to get your basic needs being met, right? But once that's out of the way, there's also this other lingering fear, right? And this moves into you don't believe that sign number five is that you don't believe that good things are happening to and for you, and you are the creator of your own reality. So it's this kind of energy, or this, maybe you find yourself kind of in this sort of humdrum of life, like life isn't going well, or people are out to get me, or the world isn't safe, or things don't ever happen. Why can't I manifest things? Or you compare yourself to others, kind of thing. It's that kind of energy where you don't really believe that good things are happening for you, or you tend to find that your mind, this moves into another one, but you kind of find that your mind focuses on all the wrong things, or on all the things that aren't going well versus the things that are going well. So that's sign number five. Sign number six is you feel disconnected from your higher self, your soul, or your spirit guides, whatever word resonates with you. So you don't feel connected to your intuition. If you watch a video or you listen to other people talk about intuition, you kind of wonder, like, what is that? What do you mean your intuition? Like, follow your intuition? What does that mean? Like, then you're somewhat going to be living in a constant state of fear, because if you're not tapped into sort of that higher self, that part of you that knows more beyond just the logical mind, you'll find that fear is more so the modus operandi, or the place that you're operating out of, because you're not connected to that inner wise self, your own inner guru, if you will, right? So if you feel disconnected from yourself, if you feel disconnected from your heart, from your soul, from, the intuitive nudges, then that's another sign that you're living in a constant state of fear, guilt, or shame. Another aspect of this is you have a constant sensations of heaviness in your chest or other parts of your body, right? So this can show up in, like, let's say, you feel fear all the times, and like you'll feel like this is heaviness in your chest, or you'll feel like this pain in your back or pain in your neck or something. Like there's like this actual physical representation of just heaviness or like density in your body that you can't seem to get rid of no matter what you do. It is almost positively certain that that's connected to a level of fear, shame, or guilt, or just denser vibrational frequencies that you're connected to on a lot of the times, right? So when you have this sense of like, heaviness or burdensome in your body, somewhere stuck in your body, that's another sign. And I was going to say something else. What was I going to say? You feel disconnected from your higher self. Oh, right. And one of the things is that I kind of lost my train of thought. I'll circle back to it. Okay, sign number 8 is you find yourself continuously complaining or telling stories to yourself and or others about how life in one way or another isn't going well for you, or isn't working out for you, or how the world is a shitty place. This is kind of connected to sign number 2, or this one is more so you focus on telling stories of why things aren't working out for you. So maybe you find yourself, having, because I'm like, yeah, only high vibes. But not necessarily that I don't allow people to vent and stuff like that, but sometimes it's like when they constantly do it, it's like that's sort of like their personality characteristic. So when you find that this is a personality characteristic where this is the person's personality because they've ingrained it all the time and they always tell stories of what's going wrong versus focusing on all the positive things that are going on in their lives, that's another sign that you're constantly living in a state of fear, shame, or guilt. And the shame or guilt piece is like, can be connected to, feeling like another aspect of it could be like feeling like you're connected or you're responsible. Not saying that you're not responsible for your children. Like if you have small children and stuff, of course you're responsible for their well-being. But I'm just talking about in general, like let's say, friends or family and stuff like that, where you feel this kind of, I'm responsible for their happiness, or I'm responsible for, making them feel good about me and stuff like that. That's another sign that you're like that kind of people pleasing aspect that some of my clients come to me with, that's another sign. So that's kind of sign 11, but moving on to my other sign, I didn't add that one to the list. Another sign, sign number 9, is that you feel as though you can't hear the voice or language of your intuition or know what it feels like to follow your heart and go with the flow, because this constant state of dread or fear, of something not going your way, is present, right? So when you feel as though you can't hear your intuition, right? You don't even know what that feels like, right? And then the last sign is you're constantly on guard, right? I knew that I used to be like this a lot, probably like 5 years ago, where I used to be on guard, in defense, or waiting for the other shoe to drop, if you ever heard that term, right? Where you feel like you must safeguard your heart, or you must safeguard your environment, or a specific way of living in order to be okay in life. So you don't trust that life will flow and carry you in the direction of your desires, and you feel like life doesn't support you and that the universe is not a friendly place or place to be or exist in, and you tend to focus on all the ways and proof that it isn't, right? So thoughts like, I can't live with an open heart because others will hurt me again, or I can't, fill in the blank because something bad will happen, or I can't follow my heart because I won't be financially supported, or people will laugh at me, or I'll be judged harshly, or whatever, fill in the blank, right? So it's this constantly feeling like you're on guard or on defense, right? Where you're like, when people try to give you positive feedback or positive insights and stuff, like, well, yeah, but you find that you fight for your limitations a lot. Like, oh, yeah, that happened for her, but that doesn't work for me because every time I've tried this, like, you always have kind of like a comeback, like, eh. So it's just kind of fighting for your limitations versus fighting for your limitlessness, right? So those are like the 10 signs of like that you're constantly living in this state of fear, guilt, or shame. So what do you do about it, right? So let's go back through these, right? So when you find that you're waking up in, maybe if you resonated with sign number one, and you find that your mind is constantly on this replay of anxiety, this loop of the mind and the body immediately goes into anxiety or fear, one of the first things that you can do is start to breathe. And just, if you can start to bring a level of presence, feel free to try it with me now. Breathe in and breathe out. Simple focusing on the breath, meditation, or focusing in this present moment. And one of the things about that is that you can start to bring a level of awareness if you can just look at the mind and start to bring distancing to the mind. One of the I never fully read all of his book, but I think I listened to the Surrender Experiment. Okay. So I can't remember. I think Michael Singer, he wrote this book called The Surrender Experiment or whatever, but he also wrote this other book called The Untethered Soul. But anyways, he talked about his inner roommate or something like that in The Untethered Soul, and this whole concept of us, like our minds being this inner roommate that we have that's always kind of chatting and going on and on about whatever, all the negative stuff, and giving you all this sort of bad advice or whatever. If you can start to look at your mind and your emotions as this sort of inner roommate that has a right to exist, your ego, whatever you want to call it, but can start to distance yourself from the mind by bringing just a level of present moment awareness. And how you do that is, let's say that if I ask you to close your eyes right now and focus in on the sensation of your pointer finger, right? Can you feel your pointer finger? Can you feel the vibration of your pointer finger, right? And what you're doing in this instance is, you're focusing your attention and your awareness. This is just sort of like awareness one-on-one, focusing your attention and your awareness in on your pointer finger, right? Now, if I ask you to go inward, right, and I say focus in on your mind, right? What thoughts are arising in this moment? What thoughts are coming up for you in this moment? And just focus in on them. And so you're shifting your awareness from your finger to your inner world, right? What thoughts are going on? What sensations am I feeling in my body? How am I feeling right now, right? And start to focus in on that energy, right? What you're doing in this moment is that you're bringing a separation between who you really are, right? Your soul self, and sort of this character called you and human form, right? And so when you do that, you start to distance yourself from the anxiety, from the loop that continuously plays out in your life, whether that's thoughts, forms, or emotional states of being, of, just that dense energy of fear or guilt or shame, right? And so one of the reasons why you want to start doing this, in your day-to-day life, is because it brings about more peace, more centeredness, and more ease. I've given several different tips and tools on this channel. I'll link some videos below that, on how to like restart to resource your sense of self-worth, or a meditation for peace. I've shared a lot in this November series, so definitely go back and check out some of my past lives that I've done in the month of November, of just tools and tips that you can start to utilize to tap more into your soul self, your spiritual self, and to start to create not just a separation, but that inner knowing of your true self, beyond just the thoughts, beyond just the body, just beyond just the mind, right? Beyond just the emotions, right? And the biggest thing about starting to move out of this fear-based way of living is to become radically aware of your inner world, right? Because most of us are radically aware of what's going on outside of us. And that happens because we're conditioned to believe that our power happens through action, or through doing things, or sometimes, most of the time, we're taught that we are victims, right? That we're not in control of our lives, that, bad things happen to people who look or feel or, act like me, right? And so all the societal programming and social programming or cultural programming that goes with you and your identity as a human being on this planet, in whatever skin suit you're at, I call skin suit, your flesh suit that you're in, right? Like for me as a Black woman in America, I could say, my identity or my ego could be, well, things are hard for me as a Black woman in America because X, Y, Z, this, Y, Z, and I can have all these justifications for why things aren't going well, right? And so that's sort of the human programming. But as you start to spiritually awaken and imbue and strengthen your intuition, and imbue and strengthen and embody more of your true self, you disconnect from just the human programming that was taught to you when you were a child, and you start to move more fastidiously and more strongly in the knowing of who you truly are, and you begin to separate yourself from a lot of the societal conditioning, a lot of the childhood trauma, a lot of the adult trauma and stuff like that, and start to become aware of your inner world. So the biggest, key takeaway is to start to strengthen your inner world, and that's really why I wanted to do this series, which is the Journey Within series. Embracing your true self, is because once you start embracing your true self, all these sort of signs that you might be experiencing on a day-to-day basis, they lessen more and more. And it's an iterative process. It's a step-by-step process. It's not going to go away all of a sudden. If you spent 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years in anxiety, or 20, 40, 30, 50 years in this sort of fear-based way of living, give yourself grace, right? Give yourself compassion to take time, but do the steps, do the work of starting a daily meditation practice, starting I gave a whole bunch of rituals, ideas. I wouldn't say start with rituals. I think rituals are like level 2 of spirituality, but I feel like, once you get the basics of like starting to alleviate a lot of this tension and anxiety and stuff like that in the body, then you can start playing with more rituals, because then you're in tune with your inner world, and you're in tune with how you're feeling, and you can like articulate very clearly what's going on within you when you're feeling something and when you're sensing something. And then you can also, another aspect of this is that when you become vastly in tune with your inner world, you'll start to see how your outer world is such a reflection of your inner world. Most of us aren't really in tune with this knowing of our creative power, because we're always thinking that our outer world is just sort of like this thing that happens to us, and we're just kind of being pushed around by the universe, right? And we don't really have a say in how we show up, or how our life events play out. But when you start tuning in to your higher self and tuning into your inner world, that becomes heightened. And so you start to be able to see, oh crap, so I did this, or I had this sort of energy, or you see this event, you're like, okay, I see how I manifested that. I see how this thought process, or this state of being, totally manifested that. And you start to be able to see your creative powers, versus feeling like you're at effect to what is happening to you. You start stepping more into the creator role in your life. So those are the 10 signs. Let me know if that is resonating with you guys below. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop any questions or insights that you receive below. And for those of you who are watching the replay, please feel free to let me know any of the signs that you resonated with, maybe in your past or present, that you found yourself in, of the 10 signs. Let me see. I see some, you may posted something. Great. I'm glad that it resonates. Awesome. I am glad that it resonates. Welcome back, Miss What's the Code? I think I've seen you before. And Yemaya, welcome. Yeah, so I'm glad that resonates. Let me see. Awesome. Okay. I'm glad that this is resonating with you guys, for sure. So that's really the crux of what I wanted to share, just the 10 signs, and then just how to get back to like alleviating, moving from a place of fear and moving into a state of divine inner knowing of who you truly are, right? So let me see. Oh, waking up with worry. Yeah, right. That's a huge one, right? So that's sign. That's why I started that with sign number 1, right? When you immediately find that when you wake up, your mind immediately goes to worry. Another thing, a tip that you can do, is make sure that when you wake up, you don't immediately grab your phone. Like start putting your phone away, or like far away from your bed. If your phone is your alarm system, that's fine. Just turn off the alarm, but then like put it away, and then take some time to just center in and ground yourself into this present moment and start tapping into your inner world. So what you're doing, instead of programming, because most of the time people wake up and immediately go to their phone, and they're looking at their bank account, or they're waiting for that text message from that lover, or they're, whatever. Whatever is the thing that triggers that anxiety for you, right? And then they're like reinforcing these sort of habitual patterns of like worry and fear. Instead of doing that, remove the cell phone, grab your journal, put some meditation music on and tune in to yourself, tune in to your heart and soul, tune into your inner world and strengthen that. When the first thing that you do before you start your day should be connecting with yourself, so that when you move out into the world, you're not moving out from this frantic, on fear, like waiting for the shoe to drop energy, but you're moving from this place of I'm divine, I'm powerful, I'm creating my own reality. Today's going to be an awesome freaking day because I'm creating my reality. So you can start moving from that place. But if you don't give yourself that space, and it doesn't need to be 20 minutes, it don't even need to be, more than 5 minutes, it will dramatically start to shift how you approach your day, because you're starting to move from an inner place of power versus this inner place of this inner place of anxiety and fear, right? Yeah, exactly. I'm glad that it's resonating, you guys. Right, exactly. Placing the phone on a nightstand or somewhere else is definitely a really great tool to do. Yes. Connecting with the self, right? Exactly. So that's how you want to really start your day. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. As I said at the top of the hour, or the top of this live, I'm doing a flash sale for the flash sale. Not really. Yeah, I'm kicking off our flash sale. It's really for the rest of the year. So I decided to extend it to December 31st. So it's 60% savings on all of Divine Earth School's products, programs, and services, my spiritual consultations as well. So 60% off on that. So check out the first link in the description box below to check that out. And let me see if I can place it in the chat while I have you here, for those of you who are joining me live right now. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them and I'll see if I can help you answer anything while I'm here. Okay. Do full body scan before getting out of bed. Yes, I love that. I love that. And that's literally how I start my day all the time. Every day, Miss What's the Code? I don't know what your name is. Feel free to let me know what your name is. What's the code? Doing a full body scan before I get out of bed. That's definitely what I do. Like, I wake up and then I go into, okay, how am I feeling? What's going on? And once you do that, it sort of, like, that anxiety and that fear, you can really start to distance yourself from it. And not that you're trying to push it away and stuff. What you're doing is you're becoming sort of like this spacious awareness, your soul self for it, right? Such that you can start to allow the energy to be there. And once you give it like just a little bit of attention and awareness, it's sort of like a child that keeps nagging at you, right? And if you don't give that child any attention or love or compassion, it's just going to keep gnawing at you like, mommy, 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 look at me, look at me, look at me. And so it's like when you're giving yourself that spacious awareness for that, your inner world, that energy starts to transmute itself. Because it's like, oh, she's looking at me, she's paying attention to me. Okay, maybe she can start to listen, or not she, it could be she, he, you, whatever, they, whatever you go by. But you start giving yourself that power, right? Because you're like, that energy is like, it just wants to be heard, it just wants to be seen, right? And that aspect of you starts to kind of coalesce and like reintegrate into the wholeness of who you truly are. So let me answer any questions or see anything that I see. Listen to meditation music when I first wake. Nice. That's awesome. You guys have some great habits then. Keep at it. Let me know if you have any questions in regards to what I shared today, or any questions in regards to something that you want to break through on your life. What type of music do you listen to before bed? So I kind of float between like binaural beats. Recently, it always kind of changes. I'm also a musician and artist in another life, like simultaneously, which is so I also listen to classical music as well. So either like binaural, sort of like peaceful music where it's like flutes, or like water, or just listening to nature sounds. That also very much so. I love that. When especially like during the cold and winter, when I'm too lazy to get outside and it's too cold for me to walk outside my house. I tune in and I listen to a lot of nature sounds and stuff, like the ocean, or listening to, rainstorms, or listening to, the forest sounds and stuff like that, through either YouTube or my Apple Music. I have the Apple Music app or subscription or whatever. So that's what I use to listen to music and stuff like that. Let me see. If at all, what books are you reading? Girl. So, what books am I reading? Right now, what am I reading? I'm reading like 5 different books at the same time. um, sorry, I just left earlier this morning because I'm just on a weekend trip, so I didn't bring anything with me other than myself. Let me see. What am I reading? Let me look up my Kindle. Great questions. Let me see. So I'm reading this book called no, Follow Your Heart by Helen Jacobs. I'm also reading another book called I'm rereading the book called How to Reprogram Your Subconscious Mind by, I can't remember his name, just look it up. I'm rereading that book. I can't remember the other names of the books. I was uh, rereading some of Brother Panic's Occult, his first book that he put out. I was rereading some of that in the necromancy section. So I kind of just flip through certain things. So those are 3 books that I'm currently reading. So yes. Yeah, so dealing with your inner child, right. That's exactly it. Sorry, I'm just seeing your comments. Yeah, I do sing. Thank you. I appreciate it. That I'm not alone in my daily rituals. Yes, those daily rituals, man, they're so powerful. I talked about that on Wednesday. I think 18 different, or I can't even remember what I was talking about, but not 18 rituals. I talked about the power of rituals. Yeah, yeah, those daily rituals make such a huge difference. I do listen to audiobooks. I do. They're not always spiritual stuff, so um, because that's not a huge area of concern for me. Um, but I listen to a lot of different things, from life stuff to business stuff to all kinds of stuff. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone because I'm using this as my chat thing so I don't move the camera. I'm looking at my library of things that I just, what is this one? As like a coach and stuff, I listen to a lot of different things to just kind of sharpen my knives as a coach, you know. So different things that I'm listening to is The Body Keeps Score, Waking the Tiger. Also listening to Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. Um, so those are 3 things that I'm currently listening to right now. But that's more so for me as a coach to continuously improve my abilities to continuously serve my clients at a higher level. How do you deal with the holidays as a Mosaic Soul? Yeah, so what do you mean, like, how do I deal with the holidays? Just as a Mosaic Soul, do you mean being multi-passionate, or just dealing with other humans in general? Like, what do you mean by that question? I love to answer that question. But in terms of just dealing with other humans, right? I'm loving this book so far. The Body Keeps Score. That very, very powerful one. In terms of like just dealing with other humans, I'm very much so. I keep pushing back this one that I was book suggestion, Atomic Habits. I haven't read that one. My friend, it's on my list of books to read. But I read the Power of Habit a long time ago, so it's very similar in terms of that. Deal with other humans, right? Okay, yeah. So how do I deal with other humans? I love that I call it that. How do I deal with other humans? To me, because I've talked about this extensively on my other channel where it's just rachaelalexander.com or whatever. But for me, a lot of times on a personal level, I give spaciousness because I do so much work in inner healing and stuff like on myself and trauma and stuff like that. I give so much grace to other people now for them to be themselves. But when it comes to, in terms of, let me just caveat this by saying I'm sort of like a introvert, hardcore introvert. Okay, hardcore introvert. So I recharge on my own, and I'm partially a loner. A large part of my life is I'm a loner. So let me just state that. Okay, but I do come from a huge family, and I do have friends, you know, and stuff like that that I hang out with. So you know, during the holidays and stuff like that, my family is always having get-togethers and stuff like that. So for me, you know, before I started doing a lot of this intensive work, I used to kind of be on guard all the time with with my friends and family, especially those who've hurt me and stuff like that before, just dealing with all sorts of personality types and stuff like that, dealing with the human stuff. What I do now, because I've started to recognize that we all come with different, you know, missions on this planet, right? And a lot of us, a lot of people are still unconscious and still not tuned into their higher selves. So for me, how I deal with people who I would consider to be not unconscious, but just are lower vibration at like a lower density and frequency, I have a tendency to sort of, I hug them, I embrace them, say, hey, how are you doing? How's life? Try to have a genuine connection. And it depends on where I'm at too. So most of the time, I don't go to family functions if I'm like in a denser energy, or I'm working through my own shit, right? So if I'm working through my own stuff, I'm less likely to go out and like try to work with other people or deal with other people, because then a lot of times, because I'm an empath and because I'm a, I do what I do as a spiritual coach and stuff like that, people automatically are drawn to me, and so they automatically want to come with me with their stuff and want to like unload everything and like just talk to, which is perfectly fine. Like, I'm usually open to it when I'm in a good headspace, but when I'm not, if I'm not in the mood to be around other people, or I'm in my sort of introverted recharging mode, I usually don't attend to other people. But if I am, usually I just give myself space, give them spaciousness to sort of be around, and just share their insights, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, that's interesting. If I don't agree, like if they're saying certain things that are like lower vibrational thoughts, forms, and stuff like that, I really I don't agree with them. I don't be like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the world is sucky and all this other stuff, and the government is out to get us and all this. I don't like go into this whole like thing, unless I feel passionate about it, and I'll speak up on it. Or, I don't really like go into the trying to validate, not that I'm not trying to validate them, but I'm not trying to like perpetuate is the word I'm looking for. I'm not perpetuating their lower vibrations. Usually I'm either pulling them up to where I'm at. So I'm like, oh, great. So what's going well in your life? What are you working on? Like, what are you passionate about right now? Usually I'm like starting with those questions. Like I'll poke at those questions, because most of the time people like to bitch and moan about their lives, which is perfectly fine, because most of us don't. A lot, especially people who are lower consciousness and they don't believe in therapy. They don't believe in working with other people to talk out their problems. So they use their friends and family to sort of offload their issues, which is perfectly fine. That's a perfectly valid experience. But if I'm not in the mood to be offloaded onto, I'll just either distance myself, or I will switch the conversation, the tone of the conversation. So we start talking about like just higher frequency things, just like, oh, like the world is great, or yeah, my kid just went off to college, or, I just went on a vacation, or, I just try to get them to focus on things that are more positive, because we're already bombarded with so much negativity on the planet, so why just perpetuate more of that? One of the things my mom used to always say to me when I was growing up, be impeccable with your word, because what you speak and what you think becomes your reality, right? But thoughts, feelings, and emotions, catalyze everything out into your world. So be impeccable with your words. So I try not to perpetuate certain things, especially, and very, very much so, I don't come to family events talking about what's going on with me, unless I feel safe. It's very few people, like a handful of people in my life, that I actually feel safe to talk and vent about certain things in my life, because I know, one, they're not going to judge me. Two, they're going to be compassionate and open and loving towards me. So I don't feel that I need to share my life business and anything that I'm journeying through with my entire family. I don't do that, right? So I keep my business private, right? I only talk about, maybe like successes that I'm going personally journeying through, or just keep the conversation light and not go deep, and just kind of like ask them questions about themselves, because people love to talk about themselves, so that's certain things that I do, like during the holiday seasons. One, I don't go into my own personal issues with people that I don't feel safe with. And two, I don't try to perpetuate negativity in conversations. And if the person is just like dead set on talking about certain things, I can be sort of either like a spacious presence, depending on my energy, and just let them vent out whatever they want. I'm like, oh yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I definitely understand. Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. Like, those are sort of my responses. Or if I don't feel like talking, I'm like, oh, hey, so great to see you. I'm going to go to get something to eat. Okay, I'll see you later. And, especially if it's a family function where there's many people, so I don't, attach myself to certain people who are like lower in vibration. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer. Hopefully that was helpful. Mm. Yes, exactly. That's interesting. I say that term a lot, a lot. I'm like, ah, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, that's interesting. Yep, that's interesting. Yep, that's exactly how I respond. We're on the same page because that's exactly how I responded. It's like not too much to make them think that you agree with them per se, because you don't want them to go down a rabbit hole of just negativity, but enough to just let them know that you're here, you're being present, aware, for what they're, journeying or traversing. Okay, cool. So if you guys don't have any more questions, thank you guys for joining me live this holiday season. I hope you guys will continue to enjoy your holidays. Definitely feel free to, let me see. Yes, exactly. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, exactly. That's how I respond. So, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm gonna hop off and go eat some dinner. Yes, exactly. That's my response to you. Me and my it looks like us who are joining me live, we're all on the same page because that's exactly how I respond. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Check out my Black Friday, or just I call it the end of the year sale, at the link in the description box below. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys back on Monday at 6 p.m. I should be back in my home, so I'll be in a more the same similar environment. So you guys have a wonderful night, and as always, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience while on this planet. And remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive, what you expect is what you get, and however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys on Monday. Peace, love, and light. Oh, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm in Eastern Standard. 6 p.m. on Monday. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. And let me just put that link in. Yes, exactly. That is the link. And definitely feel free to check out my sale there at that link. Okay, cool. You guys have a wonderful evening.